Surprise! Oh my gosh, too much energy. Hi everybody, I'm Eliza of All Kinds Studio, and today I'm going to be making a yarn wrapped hanging pendant lamp using only repurposed and upcycled materials. I started making these yarn wrapped shapes at the beginning of quarantine last year in the infamous March 2020. And since then I have been dreaming and scheming up ways to use this process in some other areas of my creative practice. I've also been wanting to do a lighting project, so I figured why not combine the best of both worlds and do a yarn wrapped lamp. I recently found the perfect pendant frames for this project, so I am really excited to see this vision come to life. All right, let's get into it. Here is the pendant I'm working with. I purchased this from a hotel liquidation store which sells furnishings from hotels that have either gone out of business or are getting remodeled, so this probably hung in a hotel lobby or something. Time to cut this baby up. Okay. It's all wrapped around and it's glued on, but easy enough that we can just rip it off. And it's like that all the way around. Oof, this thing's gonna get long. I thought about saving the fabric, but as you can see, it's actually pretty dirty. And I did a burn test to see if the fabric is natural or synthetic. You can see it melting, which means it's synthetic like polyester. I don't work with synthetics, so I decided to just scrap all the fabric and cut it off instead. And I'm glad I did because it was so much faster. Alright, now we have gotten all this material off. This frame is perfect. It's exactly what I've been looking for. I like the wired kind of skeleton bare bones structure of it. That's going to be important as we start wrapping our yarn onto it because it'll really hold its structure. What I want to do is go ahead and get rid of this whole electrical component because I'm going to use something new. So I gotta figure out how to get it out of here. So we're just gonna have to play with that. Oh, okay, I see how we do it. Okay. Oh, that was so easy. I thought that was gonna be way harder. Well, perfect. Now we just have our frame here. This is the adhesive that runs along the frame. It wasn't that hard to pull off, but it still left a sticky residue underneath. So I pulled out the glue gun and went to work. I let it sit about 10 minutes after applying, and all the sticky stuff came off pretty easily with a good wipe down. Now for the fun part. This is a big pile of secondhand sweaters. I actually repurpose sweaters by unraveling them and turning them back into yarn. So all the yarn I used for this lamp comes from upcycled sweaters. I assembled some color combos and then played around with them until I got exactly what I wanted. Now that I've selected my yarn colors, we're ready to get started. And we're just gonna be using yarn, a pair of scissors, and our frame.
I made a bunch of yarn butterflies because I thought they'd be easier to work with, but I quickly realized that it wasn't, and I scrapped all of them.
I'm gonna just start with white. I'm gonna take my white butterfly and do a tie-on technique to this middle ring of the base, and then just start wrapping. And as I wrap, I'm just gonna go all the way around the base, kind of wrapping tight, but not too tight, like just a good amount of tight. I'm gonna wrap as close to each yarn wrap as possible. Basically, I just don't want to be able to see the top or the middle rim or ring. So just a nice, even, all the yarn touching wrap. This is going to be meticulous and slow, but that's okay. Most of what I do is pretty meticulous and slow, so nothing I ain't used to.
Thank God for time-lapse because this really is a slow process.
It's getting later into the afternoon and I'm about to lose the light, so I'm gonna keep working on this as much as I can on camera, and then tonight I'm probably gonna get a good chunk done. So next time you see this, it'll be looking really good. Alright, it is the next morning, and as you can see, I have finished wrapping the top part of the pendant. I am so in love with how this is turning out. I'm obsessed. I just think it's so cool. It's like one of my favorite things that I've ever made. The goal today is to finish all the bottom part of the wrapping, and to do that, I'm going to turn it upside down and just keep wrapping. What I'm gonna do is take a needle and I'm gonna essentially sew through what I already have wrapped here. I think that's gonna be the best course of action.
That ended up working really well. My long weaving needle was the perfect tool for this job. As I went, I was making sure to pull my yarn tight and not leave any gaps. I thought wrapping the bottom might be faster since there's a lot less space, but it took about the same amount of time. Mostly because I had to be a lot more meticulous with my yarn placement since I was sewing it on rather than just wrapping. Usually, if I'm doing something methodical and repetitive like this, I'll turn on an audiobook and the time passes pretty nicely. I also feel like repetitive things kind of put me in this flow state, and I don't really notice the time that much at all.
Hello, yes, it is yet another day of working on this. I think it's day 4 or 5. I think I've spent like 20 hours just wrapping this thing. So I'm super happy to be done with that side of it, and now I can move on to the last step, which is tucking all the loose ends of my yarn so we give it a really nice clean finish. And then we can attach the new electrical cord and it'll be done. I'm so excited.
For this part, I'm using a weaving tool called a heddle hook to slice through the middle of my wrapped layers. The hook grabs the loose tails and then they pull through the other end. I used scissors to very carefully trim everything.
It looks so good. I'm really happy with it. Not to toot my own horn, but I think this is like one of the coolest things I've ever made. Okay, actually I will toot my own horn. Now that the pendant is done and all the edges, little loose ends are tucked, it is time for electrical. We're gonna put this in pretty much the exact same way we took the last one out. So I've got the head here for my bulb, and I'm gonna stick it in and screw it on. And it is literally that simple. And check it out, ready? Ta-da! Oh my gosh! Wow, it hangs, it's done! It looks like a really cool saucer, like a flying saucer. Back with the bulb. Let's screw it in carefully. Well, I have an outlet right over here. Ah, it's on. It's working.
I'm gonna hang this in my bedroom, but I didn't have the right hardware yet, so I hung it from a garment rack and put it by my favorite chair, and I think it looks pretty good.
Alright, that's it for today's video. If you want to tell me your thoughts about the project, leave it down in the comments. Also, if you have any ideas for anything you want me to make, let me know. If you want to see more of what All Kinds Studio is up to, you can find us on Instagram or visit our website where we share and sell our work. See you next week.